Again, thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. With that, I would like to, again, thank everyone for attending, and I would like to introduce today's keynote speaker. General Kline. General Kline served as the mobilization assistant to the staff judge advocate, HQ AFMC Wright Patterson, AFB OH. The general served numerous tours throughout the world in support of the Air Force and was the first JAGIMA to serve as SJA at both our embassy in Canberra, Australia, and Paya Lebar, Singapore. While on duty, General Kline helped to close Clark Air Force Base under pressure from a live volcano and personally practiced before international hold, for which he won the ASB Distinguished Service Award. He was also instrumental in planning the first international Latin American conference in Panama, attended by dignitaries from over 15 nations. Among his many accomplishments as an IMA, General Kline created, established, and supervised the first program geared to support families of deployed reservists, which were adopted by the Army and National, as well as called overseas to support Operation Joint Endeavor. He saved the U.S. government over $1 million by resolving a contract dispute with German hotels over the bed down of contingency forces, and was key in establishing humanitarian efforts for Bosnian children. General Kline spearheaded the legal effort to repatriate 1,900 evacuees from Lebanon in the wake of hostilities and provided legal support to the massive tsunami relief efforts in Thailand. In Alaska, he flawlessly led the commander through real-world NORAD crisis response to Russian bombers in U.S. airspace. In Turkey, he secured the release of an airman held in Turkish prison, winding up earning high praises from the Secretary of Defense. Recently, he was selected to the United Nations to lead a team into the Congo to teach the rule of law to their national armed forces, and did so in their native French. Kline is now a consultant and sought after speaker for various business events. And with that, I'd like to introduce retired Brigadier General Hatteras Kline.
How old I am. You know, where I come from, talk is really cheap, and I have to say, I am so impressed with the fact that here in New Jersey, Ramapo College, the Anasco School of Business, and the Small Business Development Center, they really mean what they say when they want to show support. I mean, all the work that went into this conference today, behind the scenes that you may not see, those of us that are used to planning and dealing with logistics, they know what goes into this. And I have to say that Mr. Vincent Vicari and Dr. Ryan Letts, along with the Small Business Development Center and Ramapo College and Anasco School of Business, awesome, 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 and you all deserve a round of applause. And just so you don't think that they're only about talking to newbies, they actually asked me a question this morning that I've never been asked in my entire career. If I wanted to be mic'd, let me ask you, do you need me to have a microphone? Okay. Most of the military never thought I really needed to be mic'd anyway. I'm a veteran, and I'm very proud to say that I'm a veteran. And what that means is that I know and I have learned that the task in front of you is never as great as the power behind you. And if you think that's not true, look at all the support that we have here. Now, before I really get into my speech with you today, I'm going to address the elephant in the room, the thing that I know is on most of your minds, even if you've even just glanced at my bio. You see that I'm an attorney, and you see that Mr. Vicari has allotted me an hour. And you're probably thinking, how the hell is an attorney going to cram his remarks into just an hour? Because an attorney can go on and on and on. Well, right here on this very stage, you're going to see a miracle perform. I'm going to keep to time, and if somebody would be kind enough at the end to take down the address and email of the Judge Advocate General of the Air Force, and let him know that not just a JAG, but this particular JAG was able to do that, I would really appreciate that. Okay. I came to speak to you about a very, very serious topic, and Mr. Vicari asked me to talk to you because this topic is near and dear to my heart. And it's why veterans make great employees, why they make great business owners, why they make great entrepreneurs, and why they are absolutely indefatigable lawyers. People that you want working for you. Now, I can wave the flag, and I can talk about patriotism, and I can say that we owe our veterans something, and certainly all that is absolutely true. But hopefully when I finish today, you're going to see that I've made a strong economic business case as to why veterans should be your very first choice when you're looking to spur America on. First thing I want to do, I tend to handle things a little differently than most speakers, and it used to drive my staff crazy. I don't do slides. I would rather talk with you than at you. And I'm sure those of you that have been in the military have heard the phrase death by PowerPoint. Well, I don't like to do that, so there won't be any slides, it'll just be us talking. I first want to lay out the problem for you, because there really is a problem in this country, and it's terrible because it's a disjoint. It is, veterans have so much talent, and they have so much to offer, and they have so much that businesses in this country need, and yet they're being largely ignored, and there's reasons that they're being ignored, and I want to explore those reasons with you so that hopefully you can have a changed mindset, and even more importantly, with those that you come in contact with, help them change their mindset as well. Now, I'm an attorney. I hate numbers, I hate statistics. In fact, the reason I decided to go to law school is they promised me there wouldn't be any numbers. As a matter of fact, my high school math teacher, and I'm in touch with her on Facebook, said to me that if I was really smart and really wanted a bright future for myself, I would dig deep within myself and I would find some nice girl who's good at math and marry her. So, and actually that's what I ended up doing. But these numbers and these statistics that I'm going to present to you were just so staggering, and they just slap you upside the head that they really can't be ignored. So I promise to keep it to a minimum, but bear with me and you'll see how it adds to the story. First of all, what really impressed me, and I'm getting this from several sources, including the Gallup poll, is that right now in this country, veterans are trusted by over 73% of the population. Now, when you stop and think how the population of America today feels about the Congress, the presidency, the Supreme Court, etc., that is a staggering number, that we trust veterans. Today's world, when maybe with the possible exception of Grandma Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who may inspire a little bit of confidence and warmth, that is absolutely staggering. But we're not giving them the due that they deserve. Military service distinction, folks, one of the best things you can think of when you think of a veteran going to business for himself or working for you, is they've already shown that they will work anywhere with anything, because that's what they're called upon to do. They don't have a choice. They don't get to say, well, I'll work if it's on the Champs-Élysées in Paris. No. They are told where to work, they're told what to do, and they've shown they can succeed anywhere. Almost 50% of veterans started a business after World War II. And that wasn't that long ago. It's a generation. So they've shown they've been traditionally successful. However, we are, as the assemblyman actually said, we're starting to see a decline. A really dramatic, significant decline in the number of veterans that are starting businesses, that want to be an entrepreneur, or that show themselves marketable to work for other companies. You know, only 5.6, from 50% now to 5.6, new companies say are veteran-owned. And yet 25% of those returning say they want to start businesses. They're not starting businesses for a number of reasons. This drop accounted for like 73% of the decline. According to the Kauffman Foundation, while veterans account for 12.6% of new entrepreneurs in 1996, that number is less than half now. That's tragic. That's absolutely tragic. What's most troubling is there's some of the reasons why. Veterans are not getting the support that they need, not only from institutions and organizations in the government that can help them, but from other veterans who may have been a little longer in the tooth, been out there in the business world a little longer. Yes, they need financing. We all need financing. Money is wonderful. But what I'm going to make a case to you is far more than financing in dollars. They need mentoring. They need networking experience. They need to be shown how to make things work. Because it's going to be very daunting to start a new business. Military veterans, as the Assemblyman said, and as the president of the university already said, they're known for being good business people and making good employees. But unfortunately for veterans, in the public's mind, in the average civilian organization mind, for the general populace of America, when you hear veteran, you think PTSD. You think they can't really adjust in the business world. The training that they received on the military battlefield does not translate to the boardroom. And hopefully I'm going to show you how that's a fallacy. I'm mission-oriented. That's how I got to wear my star. So I'm giving all of you the mission statement. This is our mission, folks. Our mission is to turn around this trend of declining veteran businesses and veterans seeking employment that aren't getting it. The fact that veterans are unemployed and underemployed. We need to make this by doing substantial funding, but by more importantly than that, taking a veteran by the hand, if you will, and teaching them how to be a success, what to do in business, how to apply to a business manager, and concomitantly, with the other hand, taking hiring managers and other organizations aside and teaching them why veterans make a very, very wise and sound investment. Let's face it, folks, if we can empower the greatest people, the most motivated people, the most talented people to get into business and start businesses and work, we just invigorate the country. It's good for what's good for America. All right, 1 million people are going to leave the military over the next 5 years. 1 million. Again, statistics I don't like, but I couldn't ignore these. According to the Gallup poll, the U.S. Census, about 25% of that number, they're going to want to start businesses, and some of them will. Unfortunately, it is predicted that the vast majority of these businesses are going to fail, and that's a tragedy. They're going to fail because of, again, lack of funding. I keep bringing that up. I don't want to diss money, but I really hear much more about money. They fail because no one has shown them how. They make terrible, tragic mistakes that could have been avoided with a little mentoring, a little help. So now what's holding veterans back? Okay, we told them they're dedicated, they have the skill set needed. They need to be shown how to come up with a business plan, how to secure funding, how to deal with payroll, how to deal with employees, how to deal with the EEOC and all the other organizations they may have to deal with. They need a mentor, they need a teacher, they need a guide. One of the biggest problems facing veterans are certain myths that are out there, and I'm going to try to walk you through some of these myths and hopefully dispel them, and so that you, in turn, will take them back and dispel them. One of the biggest myths that are combating the success that veterans really need to have and deserve to have and want to have is that civilians have images of them from television shows and movies, such as Private Benjamin, which everybody thinks is a funny movie, okay, ha-ha, but nevertheless, when you stop and think about what happened in that movie, it doesn't give the military a very good image about what they do. First myth, that veterans are foul-mouthed and noisy. False! Veterans in the military are required under pain of court-martial, JAG officer here, I can tell you, to have what's called military bearing. They are taught and indoctrinated that they have to speak a certain way, walk a certain way, carry themselves a certain way, meet other people a certain way in all settings, and they're taught to do this. And the more senior in rank you get, officer and enlisted, there are actually formal schools that they are required to go to learn how to do that. So they take a great deal of pride in themselves and in decorum and how they conduct themselves. They will be fantastic ambassadors for your business with other people because they know how to conduct themselves. They know how to act in all situations. So nothing could be farther from the truth. Courteous, enthusiastic, etc. Next myth, that the military does not teach transferable skills, so that the veteran is less skilled than the civilian counterpart. False! Now granted, there's a huge problem out there that the military, and it's where you all come in, mentoring, do not know how to translate what they've learned into civilian speak. Now it's not the civilian hiring manager's fault that they don't understand military jargon. Okay, I was in the military, and sometimes I have to look up these acronyms and what we're talking about, especially from sister services. So there is a real disconnect there. But if you think for 1 minute that military people who have to survive on the battlefield or have to survive in an office supporting those in the battlefield don't learn about organization, budget, crisis resolution, interpersonal skills, mediation, handling all kinds of claims, problem solving, deadlines, operating without resources, operating without optimal resources, you're crazy. That is exactly what they learn. But they need a guide to help them translate that to the civilian world. Veterans know how to work under immense pressure. That's how we are all taught to work. When I tell you that I'm just one little tiny example, me, I'm sitting there in a classroom in the jungles of the Congo trying to teach rule of law to an army that just recently was into cannibalism themselves. Okay, they're trying to become an emerging nation, and I have to do it being very careful with hand gestures because I've got monkeys, and I mean real live, honest-to-God, banana-eating monkeys, outside there that'll run to rip the screens open of the classroom with any sudden movements. So you think you don't have to work under pressure? And doing all this en français. Tout en français parce qu'ils parlent seulement en anglais. So, I mean, one tiny, tiny, tiny example of the millions. And people do far more than I've ever done. But you learn to work under pressure. Okay. All veterans serve in combat. They're unable to serve in a business setting. They're only good with blowing up a cannon or handling a machine gun. They can't walk into the boardroom. Well, one tiny example, I'm a JAG officer. If you want to see wild-eyed panic, and I mean absolutely unbridled panic, you should see the leadership at McGuire Fort Dix every time I had to go out and qualify on the gun. When they knew that I had a gun in my hand that day, I'm telling you, the base went on full alert. Okay? But we were all required to do that. There are plenty of us. It's not just the combat soldier and the cook who puts the slop or the sandwich, as the president said, on the plate. There are people who learn how to deal with all manner of things. There are medics, logisticians, there are lawyers, there are policemen. So we have many different skills. It's not just those that were in combat. Now, I want to make it clear that if you do have a combat veteran, that they are to be honored and they are to be helped, and that shouldn't be a disclaimer. Just because they were in combat does not mean they don't know how to handle things under pressure in a business setting. Okay, all veterans have PTSD. That is absolutely false. That is a terrible stigma that veterans have in this country. PTSD is a horrible, horrible malady. But I want to first make the case that it's not just veterans. Post-traumatic stress disorder means that you had a trauma of some kind. An unfortunate, a rape victim, an accident victim. They will have the same symptoms as a veteran. It's not just indigenous to the military. And just because you have PTSD does not mean that suddenly you're a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. There are programs, there are treatments, there are people who can help, mentors, again, who can help you overcome. And the PTSD victim, by and large, statistics will tell you, they are looking to avoid any kind of confrontational situation that will trigger the trauma. So they want to get down in the trenches and work and do the job and get their mind off of whatever caused the PTSD in the first place. And if somebody confesses to you that they have it, you should feel very flattered that they're trusting you with something very secret and precious to them and something very personal to them that they obviously trust you with. But that every veteran has, no. As a matter of fact, according to the VA, the Veterans Administration, again, here come those statistics again. As far as PTSD goes, 31% of veterans in Vietnam, 10% of those in Desert Storm, 11% in Afghanistan, and 20% in Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. So as you see, that is not the vast majority. Myth. PTSD makes veterans unpredictable and violent. False! Again, if you have PTSD, most of those that suffer from it want to avoid the trauma trigger. They will become, and probably will be, your quietest, hardest working, most unassuming type of person because they don't want to trigger the event or the memory that caused that PTSD in the first place. So they are certainly not going to be exploded. They're doing everything they can to try to avoid it. And with a good mentor, a good teacher, somebody who cares and somebody who understands, you can be successful both of them. Okay, next myth. Veterans do not think for themselves. False! We all have the stereotype from Gomer Pyle. Are you guys even old enough to remember Gomer Pyle? Anyway, of the mindless drone who's out there with the drill sergeant yelling at them when they can't think for themselves. Yes, basic training, you learn how to form a group, work within a group, and you learn how to obey orders. However, you are going to be put in situations where your colleague, no kidding, may very well depend for his or her very life upon what decisions you make and what you have to do. You will be put, as all veterans are put, into situations that are extremely complex, and you have to learn to think on your feet in an instant. I'm one of the lucky ones. I worked in a courtroom as a judge. I had plenty of time to sit and deliberate on a sentence. But out there in a lot of other career fields, especially on the battlefield, they are instantaneous decisions that you have to make. So are you a mindless drone? Of course not. You know how to follow, but you also know how to lead. We're going to discuss leadership in a little bit. Okay, so those are the big myths, and you see that they are false. So, military veterans and the business world. Why do they make such a good fit? We can understand the success of veterans intuitively because of the practice and the experience and the mindset and the drive and the enthusiasm they have for what you know as civilian leaders and business workers, what the civilian world and business leaders require to be successful in business in the civilian world. Okay, a good soldier, he develops leadership, he develops ingenuity, poise, he's got the enthusiasm, he knows how to be efficient. A couple more statistics, and I promise I'm done with the stats. And as of 2018, there are about 20 million veterans in the United States. And of these, I've found to be very interesting, about 48% are between the ages of 18 and 65, thus of working age, where they will be either working for someone or working in their own business or as an entrepreneur. That translates into about 9 million veterans who are still at working age. So there's a lot of people out there. That's about 4.5% of the working population. So about 1 in 20 people working in the U.S. are veterans. Now keep that number in mind as we go through the rest of this. Now again, while I abhor numbers, these are just too staggering to ignore. Out of the approximately 28 million small businesses, veterans own some 4 million. That's impressive. More impressive, they employ about some 5.8 million people. So veteran-owned businesses are employing about 5.8 million people. The payrolls of veteran-owned businesses, because they have to pay their employees, they're not going to work for free. The payrolls came out to be, this is the 2018 statistics, $210 billion, I'm going to repeat that, $210 billion a year in payroll that these veteran-owned businesses are generating. 78% of the businesses are over 100,000, with 38 over 500,000. That's impressive, folks. What do the numbers actually mean? It means that veterans are very successful, they're employing many people, and according to the U.S. Census, the average salary is about $50,000 a year. Veteran-owned businesses' average salary from the same data source is $60,000, 20% higher. What does that mean? Well, first of all, it means you've got to be bringing the money in to be able to pay it out. That's success. That's hard work. Okay, now I told you at the beginning I could wave the flag and talk about patriotism, but I don't want to do that. business case I want to make to you has nothing to do with patriotism. I'm going to put that into a microcosm here because I don't want to forget about it, and you shouldn't forget about it. They served our country, you all served our country. We're free and proud, the greatest land in the world because of veterans. And we owe them something. We owe them a thank you, and we count on them for the future. So that is not change, it's immutable, it's sacrosanct. But I don't want to talk patriotism because you guys are business leaders. Let's talk dollars and cents, let's talk economics, let's talk why veterans make good business sense. Okay? The first thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to spend a few minutes on this because it bothers me greatly that the term leadership is bandied about willy-nilly. And just because you're in a position of leadership does not make you a leader. As a matter of fact, we have some dismal experience and some dismal examples of people in leadership positions that don't know what the hell they're doing. That's dangerous. So I want to talk about what really makes a leader and why veterans are leaders. They're taught, first of all, how to be a leader from the time they walk in the door and raise their hand and take the oath. They are given positions of leadership from the very beginning in a lot of cases. Your first level of leadership in your units, in your different squadrons, in your different flights, or in the different units of the Army and the Navy, are junior officers and junior enlisted who are given that responsibility early on. So they're taught how to be leaders. And they're required to show it at every level. You are not going to get promoted unless you show that you can be a leader. I've sat on so many promotion boards, I can't even remember. And one of the first things we're looking for in every candidate is show me that you were a leader. Don't put on there that you're a leader. Let me see what you have to show that you really were and you knew how to lead. And you've all heard the maxim, you know, lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. Well, military people are taught to lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. And sometimes, depending on the circumstance, depends on where the proper place for them to be. Sometimes I need to be a leader, sometimes I need to be a follower, sometimes I need to step back and get out of the way because I don't know what's going on and let those that do know what's going on handle the situation. That's priceless to a business. You don't want some arrogant person going, I'm the senior vice president of XYZ, therefore I'm the leader and it's got to be my way. No, you want somebody who's going to say, all right, I hold this title, but maybe you have a better idea. Let me listen to you. Let me hear what you have to say. Because you might actually have a better idea than I do, even though I'm the whatever. All right. Let's talk about the qualities of leadership. First of all is resilience. A veteran who is trained to be a leader, as they all are, will bring resilience to an organization or to their job. They are comfortable with being uncomfortable. They're put in some pretty god-awful places, in some god-awful positions. But that's the norm. That's just what it is. Been there, done that. So when you give them bad situations, as business will want to have, those of you who own your own businesses or work for other companies, you know very well what I'm talking about between market share and costs and employees and strikes and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Life happens. Well, the military veteran is used to that. They are resilient, they're flexible, they bounce back. Discipline and focus. You're not going to find a more disciplined person than that person that came out of the military. They're hardworking, they're accountable, they expect to be held accountable. They know they need to report back to somebody, to some system, to some process to show what they're doing, so they're going to be transparent in what they're doing because they understand they have to be accountable and explain to their bosses what they're doing. No less a difference for a judge. There are appellate courts and appellate judges. We all are accountable. Nobody's indispensable, and the veteran understands that. Again, the military literally requires, at times, somebody's going to put their very life on the line depending on what their colleague's decision is going to be on the battlefield. Now that doesn't happen in the boardroom, but if you can do that with your life, you pretty much handle a budgetary situation, I would think. Team orientation. Again, we talked about basic training from the very beginning. You are taught to work as a team. The old saying, and I hate to use it because it's cliche, there's no I in team. You're taught to work as a team, to make everybody successful. You're not successful unless everybody is successful. Who's everybody? Your company. Or your employer, depending on the situation. That's who everybody is. You make them successful, the veteran is successful. The leader knows how to do that. The leader knows how to play different roles in different situations, as we talked about, and understands that everybody on the team is critical. Everybody on that team plays a role, and everybody has a part to play. Motivation. Veterans are self-motivated. They have enthusiasm. They know what the goal is. They know what the mission is. They know to strive for it. Strategy orientation. They are proactive, not reactive. They are taught to think one, if not two steps ahead of the game. So they are strategic thinkers. They're the ones that are going to lead your business or lead their own business ahead in the game because they are already thinking about the future and empowering others, and we'll talk empowerment in a minute, to handle the present because they're now going on to the future. Now, what does it take to be a leader? It's some very specific things. The most important thing, in my opinion, is to provide inspiration. You want to instill your sense of mission in those that you are supposed to be leading so that they want to follow you. The best bosses I had in the military, they didn't have this because they had 4 stars on their shoulders. I followed a major. I mean, if they could make me believe that I counted and they cared about me and they explained to me so I could understand what's going on, I would follow them anywhere. That's what a leader does. Leadership, oh, I love this quote. Leadership is the art of getting somebody else to do what you want because they think it's their idea and they want to do it. And that was a quote by a retired 4-star general named Dwight Eisenhower, and if memory serves, I think when he transitioned into the civilian world, he did pretty well for himself. So it's making that person believe that they want to do it and support your vision. Okay. Good leaders are trailblazers. They show the way. Great leaders inspire those who are following them to want to dream bigger, try harder, achieve more, because they can be so much more. Teach and learn, mentoring. Now, this is worth more than money, and I've got 2 examples for you that I think really sum this up. The best way that I know how. If somebody is willing to teach you something and show you the way, that's worth gold. And you will remember them and follow them and learn from them and do for them all your life. My first boss in the Air Force, I can still see him now, full colonel. Now, JAG officers, for those of you that may not be familiar, we come on duty as first lieutenants. Now, in 6 months, basically, unless you slept with the general's wife and you weren't very good at it, you'll make captain. Okay, so it's pretty much guaranteed. So that's why any command sergeant or wing commander or colonel, senior officer, senior enlisted, when they see a JAG badge and the captain's bars, they're like, because they know we're pretty green. Now, day came for my promotion to captain. Oh my God, I was thrilled. My first big promotion. I couldn't wait to tell the world. And people in my office thought they would have a little fun with the little captain to be. And told me, and you all know those of you that are in the military, it is a court-martial offense to wear the wrong rank. If you're caught out of rank, you get in serious trouble. So they said, now remember, Harris, you're a junior captain. That's 1 gold, 1 silver. You don't get your 2nd silver bar for a couple of years. So you go down to the VX and you get 1 gold, 1 silver. I wasn't going to be caught out of uniform. You were going to make a fool out of me. I go down to the VX and I'm haggling with the VX salesman. Now, I didn't know if he wanted to commit harakiri or he was going to insist that I did. But things were not going well. And he decided that it was time to call my boss, the colonel. Now, the colonel's got a lot of important things to do. More important than helping some stupid lieutenant who doesn't know the ranks first. Here's where mentoring comes in and why I would do anything for this guy to this day. He calls me and he says, I want you to trust me. Yes, sir. I want you to get the 2 silver bars, and I will personally square it with the wing commander because of your great work ethic. Because you've done so much good work here on base, I'm going to let you have the 2 silver bars, and I'm going to square it with the boss. However, if you screw up, you can be busted back down to the 1 gold, 1 silver. Okay. Yeah. Love this guy. In fact, I got to wear the 2 silver bars. Okay. Come back and realize what a fool I obviously had made of myself. Work for that guy, do anything for that guy. He took me aside, he called me on the phone at the VX. He didn't embarrass me. He didn't make a fool out of me. He wanted to mold me, teach me, but not break my spirit. Because for the longest time I thought, oh my God, he really could bust me down. And when I realized what a fool I had been, I'd been wearing the rank for a while. Do anything for this guy? To this day, his wife still calls me when she has legal problems. Now, those of you that are old enough to remember Gilligan's Island, she's kind of the Mrs. Howell type person. Sweet as pie, but nothing. She now refers to me as, I finally got promoted to Lieutenant Colonel. After all these years, she now realizes I'm probably not a major anymore. All right, another example, same boss. About 2 years later, we go to Squadron Officer School. Now, all you other services have a school where junior officers go to learn how to become junior officers, all career fields. Ours is called Squadron Officer School in the Air Force. And they tell me, a lawyer, that the next day we're going out and we're going to be scaling a wall. I go in a blind panic. I call my boss. I'm like, who the hell does the Air Force think I am, Batman? I'm a lawyer. I don't climb walls. He talked me through it, how to have the mental focus, to have the physical focus. And you know what? I did it. I did it, and I did it for him. Mentoring. Folks, if you can get a veteran assigned and teach them and train them and mold them without breaking their spirit, show them that it's okay to make mistakes, that's worth the gold. So being able to do that makes a leader. Leaders are bold and they're confident, not arrogant. Big difference. Nobody wants an arrogant jackass. Okay, we want you to be bold and confident in your skills. You know, or at least have enough faith in yourself that you can get something done. Sometimes it's a practical belief, sometimes it's an impractical belief. But the point is, you've got the confidence to get out there and make something work, or try to make it work, and show your people that you believe in yourself so they will believe in themselves. You instill confidence in them. That's a leader. They're humble. That's very important, folks, humble. Because sometimes, most times, leaders are in positions where they don't have to be. You think because they got a big title or a big salary, they don't have to be. But you know what? In part of being a leader, what we just talked about was learning as well as teaching. If you don't consider yourself to be a work in progress, and your mind isn't open to learning new things, then how can you possibly learn anything? So you want your people to see that you are humble, that you're a human being who's approachable. And I certainly have tried to do that in my own career. I remember that. Listen to your people. Leaders, listen. Your people are your greatest resource. They may have the next great idea that's going to put your company over the top. And you know what happens if you have a policy of shoot the messenger? It's going to be like the old children's story, The Emperor's New Clothes. They're not going to tell you you're running around naked. If you shoot the messenger, you're not going to have any messages. People below you need to know that you're approachable, that they can come and talk to you and give you ideas, and you'll at least be receptive, or at least you'll hear them out and explain in detail why maybe that idea may not be the best idea, but you leave them feeling with a sense of worth as well. Strike a balance. Not every leadership style works in all cases. Sometimes you need a stick with one employee, you need cotton candy with another. Now there's something called the Myers-Briggs test out there. Probably a lot of you are familiar with that. We all had to take that as officers to learn what personality types we are. And I came out with a personality type, the rainbows and unicorns type, that basically I'll do anything for you for a thank you, some recognition. That means more to me than anything else. So a good leader, my bosses who were good leaders, knew that they could get the most out of me with a little bit of recognition, a thank you, a simple pat on the, and I'm not talking public accolades, just a private thank you. But they knew their people, they were sensitive to that. So not every leadership style works all the time. They're self-motivated, okay? They know what they need to get done, they make sure it happens. And they have standards. Now this is really difficult for leaders because a lot of people in those positions like, oh, I want them to like me. Oh, gee, I don't want to have make waves. Sometimes you gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet, folks. You gotta have standards, but be fair about them. You instill a standard. It's for me, it's for you, it's for you, it's for you, it's for everybody across the board, even Steven. That's the worst thing you can do is play favorites. But let the standards know, and you stick to them yourself. You make sure that you stick to your own standards. Veterans do this. All these things I'm telling you, this is what veterans come to you armed with. We talked about confidence, accountability. They don't blame others. If there's a screw up and they cause it, they say, boss, I did it. It's my fault. I'm sorry. Let's try to make this work. Let's have a solution, but I'm not going to blame her. Well, she didn't bring me the paper in time. They're not going to do that. Your veteran employees are not going to do that to you guys. They're not going to complain and post blame on somebody else. They're going to own the problem and they're going to say, okay, boss, let's sit down, let's try to make this work now. Let's fix the mistake. Okay? Courage. Aristotle once called courage the first virtue because without it, none of the other virtues are even possible. It's a certain form of bravery. They're going to try new things. They're going to take a risk. And they're going to stand up again when there's blame to be had. They're engaged. They're not apart from it saying that's your company. No, I work here. I take pride in this. This is what I'm taught from the military, my unit, my company, my unit, my employer. And they bring that. They will be fully engaged for you. Sense of humor, you've got to laugh at yourself. You absolutely got to laugh at yourself. And today I had another example of that just today when I was asked by the IT team here if I wanted to be mic'd. In the Air Force, and I believe it's this way in all services, when a court martial is ginned up, and I'm the judge, I've served on the bench for 15 some years, it is up to the base that the court martial is being held. They have to support us logistically with whatever we need, including microphones and things like that. And it was right here at McGuire Fort Dix once, and I was the judge. It was a drug trial, and the microphone went out for the judge's bench. And I told my bailiff to please go to the wing commander and tell him that the microphone's out, and when he needs to fix it. And the wing commander asked my bailiff, well, who's the judge? And I said, well, it's Judge Harris Kline. He said, the last thing he needs is a microphone. We heard him moving throughout the building. The last thing I'm going to do is mic him up. I can hardly concentrate. Laugh at yourself. Same situation. A different base, different trial. Again, I'm the judge, very serious. Prosecutor has the defendant on the stand. And I forgot, and I make a mistake on human, I forgot to turn off my cell phone. Now, when my little niece calls, because she's just learning how to use the phone and she likes to call me, and she really loves The Wizard of Oz, and she loves that song, We're Off to See the Wizard. That is her ring. We put that ring on my phone when she called. So the prosecutor's got the defendant on the stand, the jury is listening, and all of a sudden we're off to see the wizard. You could have heard a pin drop in that room. Red-faced, I reminded them all that I was the judge and they weren't. We took a break as I cringed in chambers. So you gotta have a sense of humor about those kinds of things. Passion. Veterans will believe in what they're doing. They will believe in wanting to work for you and make your mission happen. Loyalty. You will not find a more loyal employee in this world than a veteran, somebody who has worked in the military, because they understand what loyalty is all about. They understand what that means. Emotional control. The ability to stay calm in a crisis. You work in business, you're going to have a crisis. It doesn't help when the boss goes, "What?" You've got to be able to keep control of yourself so you can keep control of the situation. We're taught that in the military because many times things will go crazy. Perspective. A leader, a veteran, knows how to stand back and get what's called a 30,000-foot view of a situation so that they're not caught up in the day-to-day problems, so that they are misled off. They don't miss the forest for the trees. They have a strategic view, which is important for business growth. Risk management. They know how to take risk because with risk comes reward. Success rarely comes to the timid, but they know how to manage that risk. They take calculated risk. It's not like throwing money on a Las Vegas craps table. Okay? It's a manageable risk, but they're familiar with that because they have to calculate that on the battlefield. Time management. You won't find a more organized time management perfectionist than veterans. They know how to, when you talk about multitask, which is another term that's bandied about, they know how to multitask and they know how to get things done on time, if not early. They know how to manage their time, prioritize, and do what's important. They're not going to waste your time and your money as an employer on something that really isn't all that important. They're going to get the stuff done that needs to get done. Lead by example. Perfect example here is Ramapo, Mr. Vicari, the business school. Lead by example. They're telling you it's important. They're showing you how important it is. Leaders are not afraid to get their hands dirty. Okay, again, quick story about myself because I'm the one I can talk about. We're in Afghanistan and we're driving along to Kabul and the Jeep got stuck. Now I am a colonel. Impressive. I'm a JAG. Even more impressive. But you you know, God dang it, I got down there and I was pushing that Jeep out of the mud with the rest of them. And I didn't even think twice about it. Not that I did anything great, but what really hit home to me afterwards, because I was really unaware of it, was what that said to the troops that saw me doing it. It's like, oh my God, the colonel is out there pushing the Jeep. And like I said, it didn't register to me, but it registered to the other people. These are the kind of people that veterans are. Relationship building. They know it's who you know in this world, not so much what you know. They know that building relationships are key and they know how to do it. They're not all noisy and violent. They know how to operate in a social setting and make those connections. That's what they'll bring to you. They're reasonable. They show empathy and compassion. Yes, they're laser focused on the mission, but sometimes the people that are laser focused on the mission forget what those decisions do to other people. How it may hurt somebody or affect somebody with their family. Veterans are taught to look at the whole picture, as we had to as military leaders. How is this decision going to affect my sergeant, my captain, their family, etc.? How is deploying this person to Afghanistan for 3 years going to affect his special needs child? Okay, we're looking at the whole picture. The ability to confront others, and don't take that lightly. Again, most people want to be liked and they avoid confrontation to their own peril. There's a way to confront somebody in a professional manner so that you can work something out. All confrontation doesn't have to lead in a war. Okay, but they know how to do that if it comes to it. But how to confront people the right way so you get what your company needs. Empowerment. They are not going to say, I'm the thus and so of this company and it's all up to me. They know how to empower. They want to have future generations be able to take over for them to keep your company going. And so that it'll be secure for future generations. What good would it have been for that colonel to have made me feel worthless so I want to get out instead of trying to mold me and groom me into something that I could then grow and help others along the way? It doesn't help when you're the only one that knows what you're doing, because then you're the only one that's going to be stuck doing it. You want to teach others and empower others. They're resourceful. Sometimes you don't have all the assets. Anybody can run a business if all the assets are there and resource allocation isn't a problem. That's a no-brainer. You know, anyone can steer the ship if the sea is calm. Anybody Navy? I thought I'd throw the Navy apart. But you don't always have the resources. What do you do then? Let's know what to do. They're used to doing that. Strategic thinking. Again, they think ahead. They're proactive. They're organized. They're focused. Patience. Oh, patience. I had patience show me, so it's my turn to get back. Whenever it's now in front of a jury, I can't, because I can throw a trial. The jury is something different. But in a judge-alone trial, when I know I've got new counsel, I never, ever interrupt new counsel. I've had counsel basically ask for death penalty on a 3-day AWOL. But he's a junior lawyer, it's first or second trial, he needs the experience. I know I'm going to sentence the guy to a fine and maybe cleaning the bathrooms for a couple of days. I've already got the sentence worked out and it's already down on paper and I've signed off on it. But he needs to practice arguing, so let him talk. Patience. And look like you're interested in what he has to say. It's like, oh, death penalty. Oh, okay, I should consider that. Yeah. Okay. Another thing, veterans know how to sacrifice. If you have a veteran employee, they're the ones that are going to be cutting the vacation short. They're the ones that are going to be burning the midnight oil. They're the ones that are going to be taking calls on weekends if you need. If this is what your business needs, or you're in a crisis right now and you've got to make something happen, your veteran employees are the ones that are going to make that happen for you because they know what it is to sacrifice. They're not going to say, well, no, I quit at 4:30, we're done. For those of you that were in uniform, you may remember that officially, the workday ends at 4:30. You'll find very few cars leaving a base or a post or a Navy yard at 4:30 in the afternoon. That just doesn't happen. Maybe once in a while for some people, but most of the people, you'll still find them at work and at their desk long after that and before 7:30 in the morning. They're dedicated. They want to get the mission done. They are mission focused. As an employer, you don't have to worry about watching the clock because they are not going to watch the clock. They will be there. They'll do what you need them to do. All right, developing as a leader. We said that what leadership is, they're going to gain the tactical advantage for you. They're going to take no prisoners for you. They're going to make sure that your company comes first. They know how to effectively manage risk and with limited resources. We talked about discipline. Okay, now, so whether you're a veteran looking for employment or whether you're an investor, I know a lot of you out here belong to organizations that can actually help veterans. understand what they bring. This is an economic argument. I'm not making a patriotic argument to you at all. This is an economic argument because they have the qualities for business success. They are a business manager's best investment. Now, if you're a veteran looking for employment, or you're an employer looking to hire a veteran, let's take a look at what they bring to your company. They're going to bring trustworthiness and loyalty. Where are you going to find that on the street? You will know in an instant that you can trust this guy or this lady. They mean what they say, and they say what they mean. And they will show you loyalty. You show them loyalty, they will be loyal as heck to you. And they thrive on that, and they thrive on a company that will give them advancement based on merit. They want to show you what they can do. They don't expect favoritism, they don't expect nepotism, they don't expect to be promoted because of who they know or what they said, but what they do, what they have achieved. They are goal-oriented and results-oriented. They are proactive, not reactive. In fact, as employers, you may find yourself in some cases maybe putting a leash on a couple of these and saying, wait, let's not so fast here, because they are the go-getters. They're flexible and resilient. You can throw anything at them because they were taught to be that way from the very beginning. They are ready to lead and put your company in the position it needs to be. Now, I appreciate the fact that you've listened to me harangue you on an economic basis, and I do appreciate your respect and your attention, because it's a strong case for that. But I've never believed that anybody should just take anybody's word for anything, even mine. So I didn't come here armed with just my word for it. And they say that nothing succeeds like success. And I want to just give you a couple of examples of veterans who did just what I said they could do. And perhaps you've heard of a couple of these companies. For those of you, you look like such a young audience. Does anybody remember the Wendy's commercial, Clarabella, where's the beef? No, for those of you that do, I'm about to give you the beef. Okay. John Luzader joined the Army at 17, and he deferred college to do that. And he was deployed to Iraq, and he did some 150 combat missions. He was overseas for 3 years, coming home only once or twice during that time. When he got out of the military, he picked up where he left off, and he got himself a degree in information science and technology. And he went on to consult with our government on how to build smarter software applications, I guess the best way to put it. How to build smarter and more secure software applications. He founded, and perhaps most of you have heard of this, Blink.Cloud. It's a system that scrambles messages. It doesn't allow intruders and hackers into more sensitive sites that our government is now using. So this young man has developed security-ware that is thwarting a lot of Chinese and other hackers that would want to get into our systems. Veteran. Eli Crane is a former Navy SEAL, and he wanted to spend time with his family after his combat tours. And with his brother, they developed a company called Bottle Breacher that were making different types of tools for the home, such as bottle openers and can openers out of ammunition, out of spent ammunition. And perhaps some of you guys have seen this in Amazon, Walgreens. They're actually selling his products. Remax. Anybody hear of Remax, the realtor? It was co-founded by an Air Force veteran, Dave Lininger. And he served in Vietnam and in Thailand as well. And Lininger said it taught him the self-discipline and the sense of responsibility to build his concern. Sperry Shoes, especially for those of you that are Navy. Sperry Shoes was founded by Navy veteran Paul Sperry. And his company is noted for inventing the very first, the world's first, non-slip boating shoe. So for those of you that enjoy boating on the weekends, perhaps you're wearing one of Sperry's inventions. The next company, perhaps a couple of you have heard of, FedEx. Anybody heard of FedEx? It was founded by a Marine Corps veteran, Fred Smith. He got a Bronze Star, a Silver Star, he got a Purple Heart for his tours in Vietnam. And he says, and I'm going to quote him, much of our success reflects on what I learned as a Marine. The basic principles of leading people is the bedrock of the Corps. FedEx. The next one, perhaps a couple of you have heard of, Walmart. Walmart is the largest company in the world, and it was founded by a former Army intelligence officer, Sam Walton. And he served in World War II, and according to him, he got his training and his business sense from his Army experience. He started Walmart with a $5,000 investment he got from his Army pay. So it was the Army that actually seeded him. Anybody here GoDaddy? GoDaddy is a market leader in domains and web hosting, and it was founded by Marine Corps veteran Bob Parsons. And it's the largest domain name registrar in the world, offering one of the most comprehensive access to those companies who want to use a cheap website to get their businesses started. WeWork, an American company providing shared workspace for technology, was started by an Army veteran, Adam Newman. WeWork is the 9th most valuable startup company in the world. Taboola was founded by an Army veteran, Adam Singola, and it's a leader in paid syndication and a strategy used by advertisers and website owners. Taboola's value is at close to $1 billion. Kinder Morgan, co-founded by Army veteran Richard Kinder, is the 4th largest energy infrastructure company. 84,000 miles of pipeline and 152 terminals. They transport natural gas, refined petroleum products, and he actually started this company after he got his law degree at the University of Missouri. He was a JAG in the service. The next company, perhaps a couple of you have heard of, USAA. USAA was founded by a group of officers, and it should be no surprise that a company that really caters to military was founded by military. Back in the 1920s, it was almost impossible for a military person to get any kind of auto insurance or any other kind because of the hazardous duty and the fact that they moved around constantly. So they started their own company. Last count, they had 12 million plus members. I myself am an investor in this. Esurance co-founder Chuck Wallace was an Air Force veteran. And finally, Nike was co-founded by Paul Knight, an Army veteran. So a smattering of examples to show you that veterans really can do what I said they can do and should be given the opportunity to do it. So okay, so you want to hire a veteran. Now what do? First, understand that your hiring manager, and if you are the hiring manager, no offense, but maybe think about this because perhaps you yourself fall into this. They believe some of the myths that we've talked about, hopefully we've dispelled now. And they may be intimidated by some of the military training that they're seeing in these people. Also, you hire what you know. And most hiring managers are unfamiliar with the military. And so they know what college is all about. And so they look for the college kid over the military veteran almost every time. Maybe not the wisest choice. No offense to the college kid, a lot of potential, but a military veteran has already shown what they can do, and they bring a lot more to the table than just potential, of which they have oceans of it. My suggestion to you, maybe you ought to try bringing in somebody from the military into the hiring process and educate your hiring people that are involved in your companies and do the hiring as to what the military really brings. That it's not just a job, it's a way of life that has brought all these skills to the veterans. So when they come to your company, they actually come armed with many things that will serve you very, very well. So, coming down to supporting veterans, again, my message to you is mentorship more than money. Money matters, but we need people who are interested in veterans to give them a shot, to realize their potential, to realize what they can do for you. And I hope that I've persuaded you that it's made good business sense. Now, I'm actually going to keep my promise, Mr. Vicari. I know this is amazing. I'll keep it in time. But I've saved the last and the best for the last. Now, I've talked here for a while to you what veterans bring to your businesses and what they bring to your companies. And every bit of that is true, as I've shown you examples. There is one final thing that a veteran will bring to your company or to his job that is exceptionally rare out there. It's a very rare commodity in today's world. It's very hard to find, but you find it in veterans. And that is intangible, but it's invaluable. It's worth more than everything I've talked about. They will bring integrity to your company. They will bring integrity, honor to your firm, to their job or to a business they own. We are taught from the very beginning. In fact, one of the Air Force, and I know our sister services have it in their own version, but I'm Air Force. One of the Air Force core values, there's only 3 of them, and the very first one is integrity first. If you are found to have less than 100% integrity 100% of the time, you're gone. I'm a judge. I'm in the business of flushing people. So I can tell you, Nothing will get you in bigger trouble with the military and doom your career faster than a violation of integrity. Many times we can, and again, I'm speaking now as a military judge and as an officer of some success of some years, we can overlook, we can forgive mistakes, we can forgive odd dams, you know, even some of the bigger ones, depending on the circumstances and the person involved. If you stand up and take responsibility for it, but if you lie about it, or if you try to blame somebody else or cover it up, that is what more people get pushed out for. It wasn't the actual commission of the offense, it was the lying about it afterwards. You're not going to have that. So you as a boss, as a hiring manager, or even as a consumer to patronize a veteran business, know that you're going to get the truth. They're going to mean what they say and say what they mean every time. They're going to look you right in the eye and you're going to know exactly what is going on. It may not be pretty. We don't guarantee you pretty, but we do guarantee you the truth. Now, before anybody here thinks that I'm living in fantasy land, we know that business success is not a guarantee. There is no guarantee in this world. But what veterans will bring to the table, what they'll bring to your company or their own, certainly gives them a fantastic edge. My hometown is Las Vegas, Nevada. I put myself through law school dealing dice and blackjack. So I know a lot about edges and statistics and probabilities, even though I don't like to talk about it. What veterans bring gives them a fantastic edge over the average person in being a success and in making you a success. Mr. Vicari, I've done it. I'm within my time. I want to thank you very, very much for having me. I want to thank the college. I want to thank the Small Business Development Center and Annisfeld Business College. I want to thank Mr. Vicari. I want to thank Dr. Letts. Thank you so very, very much. I want to thank Ramapo College and thank you all.